So you might find that taking a cholagogue supplement might be a good idea. And if you're really not impaired in making bile, an ox bile supplement, it works very, very quickly. Sometimes that can eliminate symptoms like overnight. And so we have some foods that are high in AGEs, and those are typically animal-derived products, high-fat cheeses, processed foods. And then we have foods that are lower in AGEs, and those are typically the carbohydrate-rich foods, vegetables, fruits, grains, fish, and lamb is lower than other meats, and foods with higher moisture content and low-fat dairy. Now, we can create AGEs by our cooking style. So it's basically the dry heat, barbecuing, grilling, roasting, searing, frying. All of these create glycation in our meats, okay, and the high temperatures. So the low AGE cooking styles are cooked with moisture, that's steaming, boiling, poaching, and using shorter cooking times and lower temperatures. So if you're going to grill like we like to do here in Texas, you want to make sure you cut all the fat off and you soak it in a marinade that's acidic or lemon that helps prevent glycation. And then if you do have some charred portions on the meat, cut that off and don't eat it. Some commonly used herbals, and I put berberine at the very top of the list because berberine has a triple action. Number one, it helps with the brain. It helps prevent those inflammatory cytokines from crossing over in the brain. It helps regulate glucose in the liver. Works similar to metformin, and it also helps aid in digestion. It will promote the growth of the beneficial bacteria while inhibiting the pathogenic strains. And I've used all of these in combination for helping with dysbiosis and microbial overgrowth. And this is a formula that I developed for dysregulation of the immune response. Remember I talked earlier about the T1, T2 helper cells. Now this is, it has 5 organic herbal extracts, and they all have the ability to work on that T regulatory, that immature T cell, for a balanced response. And herbals that have the same mechanism of action are very, very powerful. And so I had this client send me this picture of her back. She has an impaired brain. She has ALS. And she started developing these painful hives. And her doctor was trying steroids, giving her antihistamines and creams, and she was just in tears. And I said, well, try Immunothrive. And she said she took 1 dose, and the next day it was gone, and it never came back. And then she said that she gave some to her mom who had had her gallbladder removed, and she couldn't tolerate foods very well. And she was able to eat normally again. So herbals are very, very powerful. Now, stress, exercises, sleep. They've already talked about all of these, but exercise boosts everything. It regenerates the neurons, it lowers the stress response, increases blood flow, lowers body fat, improves sleep, improves insulin sensitivity. And if you haven't ever seen this website, the ewg.org, it's a really great website. There's lots of downloadable consumer guides. Just remember, an impaired brain cannot tolerate the exposure to toxic chemicals. So just the ingredients that we think that are just normal that most of us use, soaps, detergents, and a person with an impaired brain is probably going to get increased neuroinflammation from these. And moms, dads, if you like wearing colognes and perfume, just remember you may be causing harm to your child and may not even know it. And this may translate into hyperactivity or behavior disorders, and you have no idea that what you're putting on your body is impacting them. And then the plug-in air fresheners in the home is probably the worst things you could ever have. That just creates lots of indoor air pollution and neurodegeneration. And of course, about 40% of the homes in the US have mold, and mold is a neurotoxin. And so we want to be careful about our home indoor living space. Go around and check and make sure you haven't had any water leaks or hidden mold. And if you do, you really have to get rid of that to prevent neuroinflammation. So here's a whole list. I could probably talk an hour about each one of these things that are used for increasing blood flow, supporting ATP production, supporting the mitochondria, and helping with digestion. But if you want to stop by my booth, I have a phone number you can text in, and I can send you my top products that I recommend. But you might want to work with your doctor or nutritionist to help you to select which one might be appropriate for your impaired brain individual, or even for you. So the next steps would be functional testing. Now, parents inherently know when something is wrong with their child. And let's say you're doing all these wonderful things that they've recommended over this weekend, but there's just something that's going on and you can't pinpoint. And that's where these tests are really valuable, because these tests allow us to look inside and see exactly where the impairment is and what nutrient is needed and how we can get around it, what's going on with digestion. And these are some of the ones that I use. And most of the practitioners that practice functional medicine use these tests, and they're available through your physician. So when the gut-brain axis isn't working, you're going to have gut motility issues, enzyme problems, maldigestion symptoms, poor blood flow, intestinal permeability, problems with the valve closure ending up in SIBO, which is small intestinal bowel overgrowth, gas, bloating, distension. So don't wait until there's a problem. Start incorporating these strategies today. And I know it's not easy. It's very, very hard, and it never gets easier, but you can get better. Thanks. Any questions? Okay. Anybody have questions? Yes.
And that is homemade.
Yes.
And that is something that is always used traditionally and works really well. Do you think that's not good?
No, ghee is really good. One thing, too, I like about ghee is it increases the short-chain fatty acids in the colon, and that's the main energy